Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of The Snake Pit. I'm your host, Son of Bat, and today I'm going to be taking a somewhat deep dive into a very controversial documentary released in 2019 on HBO, directed by Dan Reed. That would be Leaving Neverland, the story of Michael Jackson. And, I realize I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this because there is a rabid Michael Jackson fan base out there. However, I don't care. I grew up in the mid 2000s when, to be honest, it was a very weird time because on one end of the spectrum, you had MTV, Much Music, and all these places playing his music videos and his songs on the radio like religiously. But on the other end of the spectrum, all the newscasters and like the television shows were either making fun of him or pointing out the really crazy, messed up shit he was doing. So on one hand, you had Thriller and Billie Jean, and on the other hand, you had, look, this guy's dangling his fucking baby off the roof, his nose is falling off, and he's touching fucking kids. So growing up, I was actually kind of terrified of Michael Jackson. That famous mugshot of him in the second round of allegations in the 2000s is like burned in my mind, like horrifying. And I don't know, I never felt an attachment to him. I always figured he was a freak who happened to make music that everyone was hypnotized by. And it's weird. Why you may be thinking, why Son of Bat? Why are you picking this? Why are you picking Leaving Neverland as a review? I thought you did horror movies and like Mondo type documentaries and shit. Well, we cover a lot of disturbing things here on the Snake Pit, and for the past few days, I've been toying around ideas in my head. I actually came up with an idea that I wanted to do called 5 crimes we may never understand the answers to, or we may never find the answers to. That would be crimes like the West Memphis 3, Sid and Nancy, Wonderland, the Toy Box Killer, and then I had a split decision between the rape of 2 Coreys, which would be the Corey Feldman, Corey Haim allegations, or Leaving Neverland, which was the Michael Jackson allegations. So it was kind of tough between those two because in all this time when I was getting the idea, I was actually watching this old radio episodes of The Bonfire with Big J. Okerson and Dan Soder. Shouts out to them. Really funny shit. It actually, first it came off as like I was going to do the Corey Feldman one. And it started with me watching, this rabbit hole of Feld Dog doing all this weird shit, his weird performances, his weird Michael Jackson impersonations, his weird fucking music. And then, of course, eventually it led into the rape of 2 Coreys. And Corey Feldman's almost, fucking narcissistic take of events and shit. Those episodes on The Bonfire were fucking hilarious. But then after I watched all those, it turned into the Leaving Neverland one. And I figured, why not rattle a few feathers? I know Michael Jackson's fan base is like super autistic and super like quick to run to the defense of this freak. So I thought it'd be funny to shake the cage and talk a little bit shit about the king of diddlers. And yeah, I don't know. First and foremost, I believe that anyone who thinks this guy was innocent is either blind, ignorant, or retarded. I asked the question that many people would probably ask if you defended Michael Jackson, and that would be what? You'd let your kids share a bed with this guy? And more often than not, people say no, but they'll still defend him, and I never understood why. Those boomers from the 80s and shit, and those weirdos from the 90s who, still defend him to this day. I don't know what to say, man. The guys are totally brainwashed. And it's kind of frustrating talking about this subject with people because the amount of respect Michael Jackson has to this day, it almost stops you from having a realistic conversation about it because it's like the celebrity worship or adoration these people have to him almost blocks logic, and it's fucking infuriating. If you ever try bringing up evidence and facts to a Michael Jackson fan, you'll want to just punch them in the fucking face because they won't see logic, they won't see reason. They'll just shut you down with the argument that, well, they did it for the money. And it's like, I never bought that. If any of you are Law and Order SVU fans out there, then you'll know the episode that they did. They actually did 2 episodes back in the day. That one was pretty much about Jeffrey Epstein before he got exposed, and then they did one about Michael Jackson in the early 2000s. And the moral with that episode that they walk away with is I think there is 2 or 3 people molested by this Michael Jackson type in the episode, and one person out of these 2 or 3 basically wasn't, and they fronted it because they knew the first wave of allegations were going on, so they rode the wave and they said this shit happened, and basically it was all for money. And that one false allegation crumbles the whole entire case. This Michael Jackson lookalike gets away with it, and the two main detectives, their fucking names are escaping me right now, which they shouldn't because I fucking binge watched that whole show. Anyway, the two detectives, the point they come to at the end is they go to the mom and they're like, look, your fucking greed and shit is the sole reason why this guy is going to walk, and why anyone who ever comes up and accuses him ever again will get shot down, because your greed and your disgusting like need for attention, that's all people are going to associate with anyone who comes forward. And it's true, because I believe out of all the allegations, the one, I think it was the kid with cancer or something, I don't know, whatever the one was about, like, you know, like money or whatever, I believe that truly did fuck everything up. But at the same time, you wouldn't pay $10 million to somebody just because you want the allegations to go away. I feel like the $10 million payout was out of guilt. So a lot of layers in this case. I'm on the firm belief that he did do shit. Do we know exactly what he did? I don't know if it will ever come out, due to the fact that he had a crack legal team, the Jackson estate, and Sony fucking has a grip on the guy, bro. Like, they're not going to let their number one asset slide. And a lot of people go to the conclusion that the industry set up Michael Jackson. The industry did it. The industry did it. And I'm like, I think that's bullshit, man. I think the only relevance the industry has in the Michael Jackson case and wanting to keep him portrayed as innocent is, let's say it does come out and everything comes out as true 100%. You think radio stations are still going to play his music? No. You think television channels are still going to make specials on him? No. Movies going to come out? No. The only shit that's going to come out is how wrong everyone was and how he was a fucking monster. The only people that are going to profit are the victims, the people who should be making money so that they can donate it towards charities to stop this thing, the people that can put their lives back together. They don't want them to have money. Sony's going to lose a $20 billion cash cow. So of course they're going to fight tooth and nail to portray this freak as fucking innocent, because there's a lot of money on the line that they're going to lose. When this documentary came out, I'm pretty sure radio stations started taking his music off, which I wish that lasted, because it was a long time coming, in my opinion. I remember when this guy fucking died, like, the whole world came to a pause. It was creepy, bro. Like, people were blasting his music in their cars, like crying in the streets, like motherfuckers dressing up like Michael Jackson. It was just a fucking freak show. And I don't know, man, like it really enrages me to like see that we've come this far along, you know, with all the shit coming out with the Epstein files and everything, and Michael Jackson still is being defended to this day. The motherfucker showed up on the Epstein list, and y'all still are defending him. That blows my fucking mind. Christine on the Bonfire, actually, I can't remember whose wife she is, but she's one of the wives to the two hosts on the show. She basically pointed out that, like, a lot of people used to joke that Michael Jackson was trying to make himself look white with the vitiligo shit and the plastic surgery. And she pointed out, maybe he wasn't trying to look white. Maybe he was trying to look like a clown to like further do this Pied Piper thing with children. Like, you know, and that, when she said that, that opened my eyes and freaked me out. Cause I'm like, yeah, you know, like that is possible. Like that would just add to the carnival aesthetic this fucker was going for in his fucking house. And like, you know, really weird too, because the industry, like, if you make fun of him, you're fucked. Like, I think when Eminem was making fun of him back in the day, Michael Jackson had the money too, and he bought his catalog. So that kind of slowed down after a while. You know, Necro made a song about Michael Jackson that pretty much says a lot of shit that happened in the Leaving Neverland documentary, and a lot of shit that happened in the book Bad by Dylan Howard. Like, he was on the money with that one, and of course that song is an underground hit, not mainstream wide known. It's just insane to me, man. Like, it's actually insane how many bullets this guy fucking dodged and how many times he got away with it. The Leaving Neverland documentary is specifically about Wade Robson and James Safechuck. And for those of you who don't know, Wade Robson is actually the choreographer to NSYNC and Britney Spears. So he's got some clout behind him. Not to take away from James Safechuck or say he's a nobody or anything, but the fact that Wade Robson, a guy who, like I said, made NSYNC and Britney Spears, came forward and said, hey, look, man, this shit happened. I didn't say it for this, that, and the third. Like, it's good on him for doing it. And a lot of people were trying to discredit him and James, saying, well, you're only coming forward now because of Me Too, and you're trying to get money off it. Well, is actually a point brought up in the Rape of Two Corys documentary by a sexual therapist or a sexual health therapist that says most men won't come forward about their abuse until like their early to late 40s. Now, these guys are in their late 30s, getting close to their 40s. So they're close to the average demographic of males who have survived sexual abuse that would come forward. So I don't think that they're full of shit here. I think it's very suspicious that when this documentary came out, the Jackson estate sued and HBO bended the knee and took it down. I think that's really weird. I think it's really weird that any documentary you do find on this guy, they'll lightly touch up on the allegations, but they'll overall just be like, oh no, he was larger than life. Oh, it was just allegations. It was all about the money. And it's like, dude, how many times does this have to happen before you start thinking, okay, maybe he did something? In the book Bad, Money, Power, and Betrayal, and even in DJ Vlad's interviews with, I can't remember who the fuck, because it doesn't matter, just some prick who made jewelry for him, it's been brought up that the guy had 7 locks on his bedroom door. He had an alarm system set up for when people came in. In like another parallel I found interesting, because I did watch The Rape of Two Corys and then I watched Leaving Neverland, so I had a really, really, really depressing couple days doing these documentaries and reviews for y'all. But there's a lot of eerie similarities between the abusers in The Rape of Two Corys documentary and the kind of abuse that Wade Robson and James Safechuck brought up in this documentary. And what I mean about that is, like, hand scratching is one that in both these cases that came up as signals for like arousal or whatever. The other thing was drills on getting dressed and shit, like in a split second so you wouldn't get caught. Like, there was a lot of weird parallels that made me, like, I already knew it, but like it would make like someone who was even an idiot realize, like, look, this guy was a predator. Like, he just not right. He did a lot of not right shit. Growing up, like I said, in the 2000s, it was a weird time because on one hand, you had a lot of people who adored this guy, but then on the other hand, you had the news and people coming out being like, yo, this guy's doing some weird shit. And in terms of celebrities, I remember, like, there was only a couple rappers talking about it, and Cat Williams, which, shout out fucking Cat Williams, been keeping it real since day one, talking about the creepy mansion parties and the fucking dresses in Hollywood, but he was the only one that I can think of that when he made fun of Michael Jackson, he was on the money about it. He was talking about shit that, like, the abuse and stuff. He wasn't just making fun of his voice or his weird fucking carnival in the backyard. He was being straight up with it. And I don't know. I find it weird, jarring, and disgusting that all these entertainers are defending this guy still to this day. Maybe it's because they have shit on them too, and if they push too hard, their shit will come. I don't know, man, but it really makes me sad and angry to see victims coming forward and getting shot down. And, this documentary I feel was, I don't want to say great because it was really hard to watch. It was really sad. It was 4 hours long, people. It was 2 parts, 4 hours. So it was draining. It was excruciating. It was difficult. I had to pause a bunch of times, chain smoke cigarettes and joints to kind of like lighten it down. I watched some of the Big J Okerson, bonfire episodes, kind of lighten it a little bit, which kind of helped. But like, it just made me angry, man. It made me angry that I had to even fucking go on BitChute and shit, all these third-party sites to watch this. This should just be out on HBO. This should just be out on YouTube. Like, people shouldn't be charging money for this shit. Like, the Corey Feldman one pisses me off too because he charged people like, what, I think $20 for it, and he put it out for one day and it got taken down. It's like, nah, man, you should have taken the financing to make it, and then once it was made, you should have put it on YouTube for free. Like, you really give a shit about the victims. Their story should just be out, and if anyone's profiting, it should be, I don't know, the victims, so they can, like, attempt to put back together their lives, or even maybe donate to a charity to stop fuckers from doing this kind of shit, and but watching the documentary, you basically get Wade Robson and James Safechuck's events of what happened from like the mid 1980s to about like the 2000s up until his death. A lot of really disturbing shit, but again, a lot of stuff that correlates to the book Bad, and a lot of the rumors that have been coming out. There was talk about jewelry that Safechuck was given by Jackson in exchange for deviant favors. Like, the way he groomed these kids was really fucked up too, because even in the interviews, even though they're like somewhat testifying against him, they can still see that they have an affinity for him, and they still almost have like they love him, which is like crazy because he Stockholmed these poor kids for life. Like, I don't think they'll ever be normal, man. Like, it's so fucked up. And I don't know, I think you'd have to be an asshole to sit there and say nothing happened to them, because clearly they are fucked up from this. The parents are also to blame here. It can't all just be on Jackson. Wade Robson's mom, Joy, had me wanting to punch the screen multiple times. This woman was a fucking cunt. She literally destroyed her own family for fame and fortune. She destroyed her fucking kid's soul, spirit, and rectum for fame and fortune. Like, it was so enraging. The fact that she's sitting there like, Wade, you have to testify. He's your friend. You have to help your friend, Wade. And it's like, dude, this kid came forward and he's like, I don't want to. That should be a fucking indicator enough that there's something wrong here. The fact that 2 rounds of allegations 2 decades apart happened should be a red flag. The fact that you let your fucking kid sleep in a bed with this guy, like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, it's literally like some toddlers and tiara type shit. I think on some degree these parents, they knew what the fuck was going on. At least the moms did, because in Wade Robson's case, the mom basically separated the whole family minus one of the brothers from Australia. So it was just the brother, the dad, and the grandparents. And the dad ended up killing himself. I can't remember if James's father killed himself too. He might have, honestly. Like, and if that is the case, that shows you a pattern that, like, these fucking moms literally don't give a shit about their kids. They just want the money and the margaritas in the fucking mansion, bro. And it pissed me off watching it. It really, really pissed me off. And if any of you parents put your kids in fucking like acting classes or any of that shit, shame on you, bro. Let your kid be a kid and don't expose them to this fucking world. What's wrong with you? Like, really? Like, this documentary, like I said, 4 hours long, super hard to watch. Do I recommend it though? That's the main question. I do recommend it if you're willing to go in with an open mind and you're willing to, like, you know, be able to, if you can stomach it even, actually, just, yeah, but it's hard. It's a hard one to watch. Like, that's why I felt like it fit perfectly for the channel, because it is a documentary kind of like The Killing of America or like Story of a Junkie, which I'll be covering later, but it's a real life, gritty, dark, disturbing documentary. So I thought it would fit the channel. Honestly, I don't think I can even rate this on a 10-point system. I feel like that would just be really fucked in and of itself. All I'm going to say is, if your eyes are open and, check this out, or, if you know someone who is blinded by the cult of Jackson, just show them this documentary and maybe it'll smarten the fuck up. All the people who said it was a cash grab, it was a one-sided documentary, it was a lie, fuck you. Like, honestly, just fuck you. I highly recommend the book Bad, Money, Power, and Betrayal by Dylan Howard. Like the documentary, it is a very tough read. It is very sickening and disturbing, but there's a lot of layers there that, after I read the book in like 6 hours, and then I just immediately started cross-checking and referencing things that got brought up in the book to see if they were true. Like, fucking, there was a rumor that Michael Jackson's real voice wasn't actually in the high octave. He had a normal, like, voice, and I searched that up, and you can find clips of him slipping his voice. So there's a lot of weird shit around this guy. Now, like I said, will we ever understand the true, like, full 100% facts of this case? I don't think so, because one, Jackson has so much money around him that anyone can cover it up. If evidence was there, it most likely is destroyed, so we might not ever get a full grasp. But the fact that we've had all these allegations, all these corroborating stories from people from different ends of the world, from the United States, Australia, Europe, everywhere, coming forward with similar incidences, should be enough of a red flag for people to be like, hey, maybe we should stop playing this guy's music. Maybe we should slowly just phase him the fuck out. Forget the king of pop. He's the king of child molesters. He is up there with Jimmy Savile. He is a disgusting piece of shit, and I don't give a fuck if this gets demonetized or taken down, man. I'm tired of people defending it. I really am. So I hope that, you guys took something from this episode. I know it kind of spiraled off into a rant. I'm sorry about that, but this is something growing up with has been just enraging me. It just makes me mad that people will call this a conspiracy and then just fully believe in other really dumb shit. It's just like, it blows my mind. So I felt like I needed to get this out of my system, especially after watching 4 hours of just madness. I needed to tell y'all how I felt about it. And so I recommend it to check out. I recommend, if you have someone in your family or your circle of friends who think this guy is so awesome and so rad, show them this documentary, show them the book Bad. Hopefully they read it, put their bias to the front door, and maybe learn something. And yeah, This rant has been brought to you by Son of Bat. Thank you for watching this episode of The Snake Pit. If you liked it, if you want to hear more true crime stories, if you want to hear me talk about the West Memphis 3, Wonderland again, or any of those other true crime cases that are very murky with details, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a better night. I'm going to go watch something lighter now. Peace.